Got the giggles out.
I doubt it, but okay, are we ready to do this?
Alrighty, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Unhinged Bookcast, a podcast hosted by Jess and LJ, who love all things fantasy books. I'm LJ.
And I'm Jess, and we are happy to have you back.
Whether we're deep diving into thoughts and theories or just riding the vibes, we love discussing our current reads with each other and now with all of you.
We have started book 2 in the Kindred Curse series by Penn Cole, and tonight we're discussing chapters 1 through 15 of Glow of the Everflame. This is episode 3 in our Kindred Curse series.
We will be finishing out this series and then jumping into another series that we will reveal in a few short weeks.
We have not completed the series ourselves yet, so if you're reading along with us, this will be spoiler-free for you.
However, if you have already finished the series, please be considerate of us and our fellow readers and refrain from leaving spoilers in the comments.
And as always, these are adult fantasy books, so this is your content warning for the naughty words that we sometimes use, as well as possible discussion of spicy and violent scenes from the book that may not be suitable for those little ears around you.
We do enjoy these types of conversations, but we will do our best to remind you to cover those sensitive ears beforehand.
Also, a quick reminder that you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram for the days in between episodes.
Now let's get this discussion started.
So we like to break our discussions down into different categories: characters, world building, history and lore, clues and foreshadowing, honorable mentions, and lastly, our thoughts and theories.
Also, we'll be adding our counters for cries, growling, and jaw ticking at the end. First section, characters. Who's back in book 2 and who's new?
So to start us off, of course, we have Miss Diem. She is back for book 2, and she is now the Queen of Lumnos and Descended.
We knew it.
We called it. She seems to have both light and shadow magic, and more than the fact that she loves pants, apparently she also enjoys opening doors nearly nude. Also, she has a new last name, so lots of new things for Miss Diem. All right, then we have Luther, of course.
Yes.
And we learn a lot more about Luther in this chapter chunk, which I was very happy about.
Yeah.
So, first of all, because this part made me chuckle, Luther has some serious titles. I mean,
yes.
Okay, here we go. Here's Luther's titles.
Okay.
His Royal Highness, Lord Luther Corboy, Most Honorable Keeper of the Laws, Warden of the Light, High General of the Guard, Esteemed Member of the Crown Council, Personal Advisor to the Crown, and Prince of Lumnos, Realm of Light and Shadows. And with all of that, apparently he also has the nickname of Lou. So
That's such an old man name.
it is an old man name.
Hey, Lou, how you doing?
That part made me chuckle so much.
Oh yeah, I was dying.
So Luther opens up just a little bit more again in this chapter chunk. At one point, he tells Diem, quote, "Blessed Mother Lumnos spared me from death when I was very young. I vowed to give my life in service to her to protect her realm and its people." So I'm kind of guessing that this is where his scar came from. This little, side thought here. But he's got this scar. He says he got injured, whatever, when he was young. So he wouldn't have had the special healing abilities yet.
Yeah.
Then his title as Keeper of the Laws makes him the one who would be responsible for finding and killing any of the half-human, half-descended children. However, we learn that he and Arlie were actually smuggling out the half-human, half-descended children for all the years, not killing them.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I was really excited
cool.
to hear that. I didn't see that one coming. Unfortunately, it is confirmed, though, that he is the one that ran down the little boy in the street, which is the incident that Henry witnessed and talks about. But we haven't heard Luther's side of this story yet, so.
It bothers me that she just won't ask him. But I guess miscommunication in books may be an ick of mine.
I agree. It's definitely something that frustrates me too.
Yeah.
In books. And then, can I just say that the romantic tension between Luther and Diem, I am loving it. I was obsessed with this part of the book.
I bet you were.
I mean, I could talk the rest of our hour on these two, so I'll stop now, but I for sure will talk more about it later.
Sounds good.
So, of course, we talked about Luther. We have to talk about his counterpart, Henry. He's still here,
Uh, yeah.
unfortunately. Uh, he's become even more of a douche. I mean, is that possible?
Is that possible?
He totally makes me crazy. I don't even know where to start with him, to be honest. I guess we can start with the fact that his new job is he is now a palace courier, where before
Yeah.
his dad wouldn't let him
Wouldn't let him go to the palace.
take
Yeah.
on that part of the job, the palace part. So he's now made his way into the palace as a delivery guy.
Yep.
He finds out that Diem is the queen and descended after an accidental run-in with her at the palace when he's delivering stuff, and he really can't decide what to feel about all of it.
Yeah. And I have a couple questions about him for you in just a little bit, but
Okay.
let's get through this massive characters
Yeah.
list first because
Sounds
it's
good.
massive tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Lily. Lily doesn't change a whole lot. She is just as sweet as ever, super cute. We do learn that she will do anything that she thinks will make her father happy, which means she may marry for alliances or something like that in the future, unfortunately.
Hmm.
She and Teller are still so cutesy
They
and
are cute.
help. Yeah. And she helps with getting him in and out of the palace unseen for Diem. And then we have Eleanor. She is a hoot and I
She
love her.
is.
She
I
might be
love
one of
her
my
too.
favorites.
Agreed.
She's one of the many cousins. She is appointed Dee's first and currently only advisor. She gives her tours of the palace. She gets her clothes and says she try the dresses. She gives Dee most of the tea on the family and is trying to get more from the other houses. She also wants to be seen as useful.
And honestly, I think she's super useful because no one pays attention to her.
Yeah,
So she
exactly.
picks up on things. I like her
Yes,
character a lot.
I do too. I think she's going to be a big player.
Yeah, I agree. All right, then we have Orly, mom.
Yep.
We don't find out a ton more about her, just a little bit. We learn that she was helping Luther smuggle out the children. However, it doesn't seem like she's trusted by Luther any longer or by any of the other descended at the palace. But we don't know why yet. We're only 15 chapters in, so I'm sure we'll find out, but so far we don't know why there's such a big trust issue
Yeah.
with her now.
Yeah.
And then Luther also does quickly mention that she did leave of her own free will. He didn't force her
Yeah.
out,
They
nobody
didn't
forced
force
her
her out.
out.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then we have Commander Dad.
Yep.
We don't have a
Commander
whole lot more
Daddy.
information on him. He's we know that he's been spending a lot of time alone in the woods, according to Teller,
Yep.
and somehow he doesn't know yet that Diem was chosen as queen, which is kind of wild to me. I don't know how he hasn't
Supposedly.
seen her absence, but we don't know yet. We haven't heard his point of view. So,
Supposedly. I have thoughts.
yeah, okay. Of course, Leslie
Of course
has
I do.
thoughts.
Cool. Soray, she's back. She's instantly interacting with Dee and they are feeling each other's thoughts and feelings. She's a very protective little thing, and Soray is no longer friendly with Luther because of Dee's mixed feelings for him. She also likes to sun her legs in the courtyard and bathe in the rain.
I just love her.
I do too. She's such a cool, like almost puppy dog, but like big and
Yes.
scary.
Yes, she's a really cool addition to the story.
Okay, so now let's get started with all our new characters because we've got a big list.
We do. All right, so starting us off with our new characters is Remus Corbois. That
Mhm.
is the youngest brother of the late King Ulthar, and he is also Luther and Lily's father, also the regent, and a power-hungry asshole.
Agreed.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about this later and what this actually is, but he has put Diem in a bonded bargain to prove her loyalty to House Corbois. Not a huge fan of Mr. Remus at this point.
No.
Then we have Ivana Corbois, and that is Remus's wife and Luther and Lily's mother.
Mhm.
We really don't know anything else about her except for that.
Nope.
Then we have Gareth Corbois. This would be Remus and King Ulthar's brother. He's the oldest.
Yes, yep.
He is Warden of the Shadows, would be his official
Yes.
title.
Yep.
He is Luther's uncle, Luther and Lily's uncle. He is also the father of Eamon and Taryn, who we'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, but that would be Luther and Lily's cousins.
Yep.
He also possibly needs anger management, according to Eleanor. Doesn't have
Uh-huh.
the best self-control. A little bit of
Yes.
a hothead.
And I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, he's got to be in the rest of the story.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have Freya, which
Mhm.
would be Gareth's wife, and
Yes.
Eamon and Taryn's mother. And again, that's all we know about her so far.
Yep.
Okay, next we have Eamon, and that's Gareth's oldest son. We know that his magic is weak, but he seems to make up for it by being kind of a slime bag.
Mm-hmm.
He's a gossip lover. He wants to know things about everybody and kind of holds everybody's dirty secrets so he can lord over them with their secrets and blackmail people. Also, he's a bit of a ladies' man, but in a slimy way, I
In a
feel.
gross way. Yeah.
Yeah. He is also now DM's date to the ball that's coming up,
Yep.
in order to keep her secret about Henry.
Yes. And then we have Tyrion, Gareth's younger son or Aemon's younger brother. Eleanor describes him as a wild boar in a glass cage. He is recognized by Dee as the blonde man at Luther's side at the armory fire. He has strong magic and is much more mild mannered. Then we have Alex. She isn't new, but we get her name and more of her background. She's the blue haired guard from the armory fire. She is a respected soldier. Her father is also highly ranked in the Amarian army, and her mother is dead, died at a young age. She dreams of leading an army one day. Dee idolizes her as a heroine, and Luther suggests to Dee that she be part of the council.
All right, then we have Ileana
Yep.
of House Hanover. She is a top commander in the Luminous Army. Apparently, she's gorgeous. And she's kind of been an on again, off again thing with Luther. They've been courting back
Yep.
and forth or on and off till about a month ago when he was the one who broke it off.
Yep.
She's also super disrespectful to DM. And honestly, she's just kind of a straight up bitch.
A what?
Straight up bitch.
Oh,
Not a
yeah.
fan of her either.
No, I don't want to punch her in the face.
Yeah, I didn't like her.
Yeah. And then we have, who I had to add, is Harold Corbet, Dee's pretend dead mystery father. He had no spouse or siblings born after his parents died, shortly after his parents died. Then he died a month before she was born. And the ink under the picture was darker as if it had been recently been put in. I have theories, but not right now. Later.
Leslie has theories, guys. Are you
I
kidding
have a
me?
lot of theories tonight.
All right. So then the next section we're going to go into is our world building section. So we'll just talk about any new information we have regarding our current setting. So what do you have, Leslie?
We don't get a lot of descriptions of the palace or outside of the palace, but places we've seen in the palace are her rooms and Luther's rooms, which are across from hers.
Oh my goodness. Of course they are.
Of course they are. The outdoor courtyard where Eleanor tends to spill all the tea and the hot
Mhm.
gossip, and where Soray suns her legs and bathes in the rain. The dungeon where she gets to meet with Teller, and that is apparently private enough for Dee to literally explode her magic without
Mhm.
anyone finding out. The servant passageways where Dee is cutting through when she overhears some mean gossip about her. And I will get into that hot goss here in a few. But avoiding them leads her into the mailroom where we find Henry. And then they go fondle each other in a random bedroom. We also get to see a little bit about the library and this little reading nook and the meeting room with Remus.
And that library sounds like heaven, by the way.
Oh, 100%.
With the like glass ceilings, I could spend forever in there.
Oh, yes. and big enough armchairs that like a full grown
Oh,
man can like sit on the arm and you still have plenty of
yes.
space to like, flip your skirts up and
Yeah, totally.
show off some leg.
Absolutely necessary for a library.
Absolutely necessary.
And we also did get a brief look at the royal cabin, which is where Lily
Oh, yeah.
tells her to go hide out right at the very beginning of the whole book.
Yeah.
And the only thing we really learn about the cabin is that the door only opens to royal blood.
Yep. 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 I totally
So
forgot about that part.
it's really all we learn about the cabin. She's there very briefly.
Now let's get into history class. What new history or lore have we learned?
So starting us off right at the very beginning in chapter 1, we learn that the coronation is going to be held on Kindred Island.
Mm-hmm.
Quote from Tiller, he says, "She means the rite of coronation. It's a ritual held on Corail," as he points across the sacred sea toward the Forbidden Island at its center.
And that is in 30 days after the challenging period when the descended that find her unworthy for the crown can fight her with magic to the death for it. Wait, so is that when she's going to see Mama again? Wait,
Hmm.
is that why Orly said she'll go home in 30 days?
That's totally what I think.
Sick. Now I have more theories to add to the end of this.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. Okay, so then chapter 6, while getting the tea from Eleanor while drinking some strong wine, she spills it that Luther's magic was so strong as a child that he was pulled out of school and tutored privately, as well as that he and his father have much different plans for Lumos.
And I kind of maybe skipped over that part where
Yeah.
Luther is tutored. I think that's a good little clue into Luther.
Yeah, I do too.
Then we learn that the Courbois house has been leading the royal family in Lumnos for a really long time.
Yeah. Chapter 12 when Luther takes DM to his rooms. And like you mentioned earlier, but something happened to him as a child, and now he dedicates his life to Lumnos or whatever. Actually, do you have the quote again?
Yeah, so he says, quote, "Blessed Mother Lumnos spared me from death when I was very young. I vowed to give my life in service to her to protect her realm and its people." And I'm assuming that that's where the huge scar came from, whatever that incident was.
Right, right. So there's a little nugget of history there, but we're still left guessing at this point. But in this same spot, he shows her the book with all the half breed children that he helped get away and that her mother helped him.
Which I absolutely loved that.
I did
Like,
too.
could
That
he
was
get
cool.
any better?
Yes, like they're like besties, but like something made them not besties. And we just still
Yes,
don't know what that is yet.
I know. Then we learn that the Descendants' nearly impenetrable skin, along with their quick healing and the power to wield magic, manifested in the Descended children at puberty, which DM notes is the same time that her visions began.
Mm-hmm.
Then in chapter 15, we learn from Remus about the bonded bargain.
Yeah.
So, a bonded bargain is a bargain made using the forging magic that originally created the nine realms. If the bargain is broken by either party, the offending party will lose all of his or her magic forever.
Mm, yeah, that's crazy.
So, next, we're going to go into our clues and foreshadowing. Here we talk about all the big and little things that we think could lead to more in the future of our characters and the story as a whole. So, Leslie, you go ahead and start this one.
Chapter 1, Lily is asking about Dee's gray eyes. Dee describes her eyes as smoky, and once Lily sees them, she immediately wants to run off and tell Luther. And then, of course, the subject changes,
Of
right?
course.
Um, no, don't go tell Luther, all that kind of stuff. Like, no, tell me what you think of her gray eyes.
I know. There's so many little loose endings here.
Yeah. But I do think that this could support my theory that Dee is more than just descended because of Lily's shock. And I have more on this in a minute.
Okay. I have a couple more thoughts on this too. So,
Do you? Okay, cool. Okay, so chapter 2, Diem is talking about this bond that she can feel forming between her and Luther. Not a friendship, but something else.
It's mates. It's got to be mates.
Uh,
Please be mates. What other
listen,
explanation is there?
yeah, I think it was confirmed later. I'll let you have that when we get there.
Cool.
In the same chapter, her and Luther are arguing about if she killed the king, and she recounts what the king had said to her. So, again, quote, they told me you would come for me, he had said. They told me your blood would shatter our stone and lay waste to our borders, devourer of crowns, ravager of realms, herald of vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to come up more, and I think we're going to actually figure out what that means
I
at
think
some
there's
point.
so much more in that. Like, there's so much depth in what he said. And I have
Yeah.
actually some more thoughts on that too
Do you?
later.
Oh, later. Okay. Then I'll do chapter 7. Eamon takes Dee for a walk and tells her about this ball that they're gonna have with all the houses, and he should be the one to escort her.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's stupid and tells him about Henry, which ends up causing Luther to make a deal for her that she goes with Eamon and he keeps his mouth shut about Henry.
Her and her little blurts of information in her panic states kind of drives me crazy, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
All right, chapter 8. So this is our dungeon scene.
Yep.
So they have a whole situation. Teller's there, Leah or Lily and Luther. And Luther tells her, he's like, "Are you angry? Or don't you feel it talking to you?" And he tells her, quote, "That is the godhood. That's what we call our magic. It hates being trapped in a physical body. Being leashed for too long without release makes it angry. The longer you hold it in, the angrier it gets." So that is that fight voice inside her that keeps boiling up more and more and more, is the godhood.
Yeah. And I know we didn't really put it in the notes, but this is a whole scene where like she finally unleashes her magic for the first time. It's
Mm-hmm.
just her and Luther, and it seems like she's so powerful. He says something like it took all of his strength. He basically strained himself with his magic to be able to hold her in, and it was only for a few minutes or something like that.
Yeah, to keep the whole palace from crumbling down around them, and it used up all of the magic he had
Yeah,
to do
and
that.
yeah, and she also had a light and shadow magic coming out of her.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's just wild, but
And then chapter 9, so her and Luther have a conversation about her mom. He can't really tell her a whole lot,
yeah.
which I think we're going to get into later a little bit more. But ultimately, he promises her that if her mom is not back in 2 months' time, that he will go and get her.
Yeah.
And that he's a man to keep his promises. Quote, he says, "I keep my promises, my queen, whatever the cost."
Dude, him saying my queen is the only thing that has gotten me hot and bothered over this man. The only thing.
I mean, definitely not the only thing for me, but that was a really
My
wonderful moment. That was
queen, not
awesome.
your majesty, not anything. My queen.
My queen. Mm-hmm. I loved it.
Oh man. Okay, before you get too hot and steamy over there. Chapter 10, getting back to the hot goss from the servants when she was trying to hide from them by running into the mailroom, right? Quote, well, I think she's up to something. How is it possible she's more powerful than Prince Luther, yet no one's heard of her? She has to be a, end quote. A
Fill in the
freaking
blank.
what?
I
A
know.
freaking what?
Again, here we are with these loose-ended comments.
I'm still fairly positive that these comments and her insanely fast healing and the amount of power she has, her gray eyes, all point to her being more than descended.
Absolutely. Totally
100%.
agree. So then, chapter 11, Diem and Henry are talking privately, and she tells him about how the flame root powder must have suppressed her powers. And then he asks her if she can try and get more. She tells
Hmm.
him, she then goes on to tell him about the ball and how she wants him to go with her as her king consort.
Yeah.
She basically accepts his marriage proposal and says that he'll be the first mortal king of Lumnos. She also tells him for the first time that she loves him out loud. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And okay, so I have a question for you, real quick.
Okay.
Is Henry actually still wanting to get married because he loves her, or is she now just a pawn to him?
No, I think she's totally just a pawn to him. The
I
way that
think,
he acted, because he was all like angry at her and
yeah, when he first found
instantly
out.
hated her
Yeah.
when he found out that she was descended. And then all of a sudden, when she talks about the flame root powder and how it can suppress descended abilities, he's like, oh, this could be useful to me. Like, I'll keep you
Yeah.
close. Can you get more for me? No, he's
Yeah.
using her 100%.
Yeah. And then, like, he was obviously talking about them blowing up the ball and everything like that when he heard about that. And then, like,
Yes.
she would be his ticket in, and how big this would be for the Guardians and that sort of thing.
And then Luther comes in and catches him and tells him that he should leave. And Henry, flat out in front of Luther, says something along the lines of, I don't have to leave. He should be bowing to me.
I am your king or something like that.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, just shut up
Whoop,
already.
buddy, shut up and get out. Like, how embarrassing.
Oh, goodness. He just gets worse and worse.
Yeah. So he's 100% just going to be using her, and that
Mm-hmm.
sucks.
Agreed.
I rate chapter 13. Teller tells us about the only real info we get on Commander Daddy. He's been spending a lot of time alone in the forest. Just one line.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's preparing for something. Like, if
Hmm.
he was one of the few people that orally trusted with her location, maybe he knows the next step of this elaborate plan of hers.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
maybe he's not just like out there sulking or whatever. Like, what if he's planning something?
And he did just get called back into service specifically to disband the tree members, right?
Yeah.
So he's probably battling all of those, trying to figure out what's up and what he's gonna do. Yeah,
And just
I agree with
just
that.
yep. Chapter 14, Luther explains to DM about descended mates and their marriages. So you win, Jess.
Ha!
Do
I
your
win.
happy dance.
There's
There
mates.
are
There's
mates. There
always
are
mates.
mates.
I love mates.
You win. You win. Have your little happy dance, your little gloat, and then
Yep.
let's keep going.
Okay. All right. Continuing on. Chapter 15. So this is the last one that we read in this chapter
Yeah.
chunk. And this was a pretty big chapter. So first of all, she has a meeting with Remus to go over handling the meeting with the houses that's coming up. She also makes this realization that she could possibly find and enlist the half mortal children that are out there that Luther and Arlie have been smuggling out for all these years and convince them to join her. So they would be some powerful allies. Quote, a force to be reckoned with. They use that term a lot, that phrasing
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Then Remus tells her, and then she doesn't like share that with Remus. That's like a little side thought she has in her brain
Yeah.
during this meeting. And then Remus tells her that it's in her best interest not to draw attention to herself at the ball, but to act as a naive, airheaded girl and
Yeah.
to take any questions that are raised to her and refer them to him instead. So she ends up agreeing to this plan so as to keep her plan secret and make herself seem unassuming, which I kind of agree so far with that
Yeah.
plot, that plan of attack. Then, during this meeting, she enters a bonding bargain with Remus that the bargain is that he will convince the houses not to strike out against her so long as she agrees to remain a part of Courbois for the remainder of her days. He tells her not to tell anyone because there are members of the Courbois house that would strike out against him just to rid Remus of his own magic. She agrees to this plan. She enters the bargain, goes through all the steps, while mentally noting that the bargain does not, however, prevent her from destroying House Courbois from the inside out.
True. Yep.
So a
Um,
lot of info, a lot of things,
yeah.
potential things happening there.
But also at the very end, like I said, we mentioned what was his name, Harold Corbois,
Mm-hmm.
and about how the ink was bold and not dusty and faded like the other names in the book. So it's like it's just been written in. And I'm wondering if the name is fake, but the person in the picture is real.
Mm.
And I have a little bit more on this later.
Okay.
Yes, I still have more on this, but
I didn't
let's.
think too hard about
Oh,
him,
I
so
did.
I'm
Of
excited to
course
hear
I
what
did.
you have on it. Of
Of
course you
course I
did.
did. Of course I did. Because she said something about how he died a month before she was born. And then after that, she says something about how convenient or something like that.
Yeah, I did pick up on that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, convenient it is.
Mm-hmm.
But first, our honorable mentions category. These are quotes or events from this chapter chunk that stood out to us, but we weren't sure where to categorize them.
So starting off our honorable mentions right out of the gate in chapter 1, I just had to throw it in there real quick that there is a mention of the quote, mysterious black-eyed woman who cornered Diem in the alley and urged her to give up the flame root powder. That was all the way in the beginning of book 1,
Yep.
Spark of the Everflame.
Like first chapter.
Yeah, first chapter. And I will admit that I actually missed the part where she was the one, the old lady was the one that originally planted that idea in Diem's head to give up the flame root powder.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then in chapter 6, Diem thinks to herself, I'm a Bellator and I will not be intimidated by dresses. I found this hilarious. I actually laughed out loud while reading this.
I need to say the same thing to myself when I go to put on a
Yes,
dress.
I will not be intimidated by this. And
Right.
like, sidebar here, like a couple months ago, we went to like a black tie wedding.
Ooh.
Mind you, me and my husband are not exactly white trash, but we don't own much for nice clothes. Okay.
Yeah.
And trying to pick out a dress to wear to this wedding was gonna be the death of me. So I was very much intimidated by dresses.
I hear you on that for sure.
um, but also right there, Eleanor is telling her about when she took care of her the night of the fire and how she was in really rough shape. And Luther wanted her to check her wounds, but she had no signs of wounds when she woke up the next day. So, duh, she's descended
Totally.
or
Or
more.
more. Totally think more. Yeah, absolutely.
More.
Okay, then I just threw in here because I thought these were cool. Some quotes, some noteworthy quotes from Diem. These come from chapter 2. So the first one, quote, when all else fails, keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
I That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one to live by.
yeah,
And then another one that I really liked, if you cannot run, then walk. If you cannot walk, then crawl.
yes,
I mean, this is like the epitome of mental toughness and strength right here.
yeah, yeah,
Just keep moving forward.
yeah,
And then lastly, we have, she says, Queen or not, I was still Diem Bellator, and a Bellator did not flee from a challenge merely because it scared them.
that's a good one too.
Yes.
I must have missed that one. That's a good
I
one.
mean, all three of these I should hang on like my refrigerator.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Okay, so then chapter 7, Diem is speaking to Soray here. She
Mhm.
talks about, or speaking of Soray,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
she speaks of how her, of Soray's blind loyalty to her and to every crown that has come before her. Diem starts to wonder how many horrible things Soray has probably done or been made to do,
Yeah.
and wonders if Soray has any sort of like conscience, or if she feels any remorse or sadness over the things that she's had to do in honor of her duties to the crown.
Yeah.
And then Diem notes, quote, that was the problem with blind loyalty. It could be wielded by evil just as easily as good.
I had a lot of this note too.
It also makes me think a little bit of Henry. I think his blind loyalty to his cause
Yeah.
is actually being wielded by evil.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Then in chapter 12, Luther finds out that she told Aemon about Henry. And so he's asking her if She wants that. And he says, if he is what you want, I'll help you find
Mm.
a way. And then she accepts Eamon's bargain to take him to the ball, and then he has to keep his mouth shut about Henry.
Mm-hmm.
But I fear she's already told Henry way too damn much. And now he's going to, like I said, going to try to crash the ball and say he's king or something. And then she's going to have to deny him in front of everyone. And then he's going to become this big enemy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. She's definitely told him too much.
Oh,
Again,
way too
there's
much.
her little panic word vomit moments.
Yeah.
Like, girl,
She
shut
keeps,
up. Stop talking.
shut up.
Yeah.
Luther told you not to say more than you had to.
Yeah.
You've broken that rule a lot.
Okay, and then last thing that we have for this portion is in chapter 14. Luther tells Diem that pretty much every soul in the realm will care that Henry is mortal. She asks him, "And you, if you were my friend and nothing more, what would you tell me?" Luther responds that if a man made you doubt whether his love for you would survive anything, he does not deserve you. Like,
That was definitely swoon
oh,
worthy. I'll give you that one too.
yes.
Hard eyes for days. We can both
Oh,
have a hard eyes this time.
yes. That one was
That was super
amazing.
cute.
Love Luther.
Super
I just love
cute.
Luther. I'm sorry, I do.
Okay, well, hold on. So, questions for each other. Before we finish out an episode, we like to ask each other questions about this chapter chunk. And on that, this is now going to be my first question to you.
Okay.
Is Luther a golden retriever, or is he this big broody shadow daddy thing that you think he is?
Okay. I don't know if you've seen the reels out there lately about like the golden retriever husbands, not that Luther's her
Yes.
husband, but the golden
Yes.
retrievers versus the German shepherds.
Yes.
I would consider Luther a German shepherd. So, someone who's going to fight to the death for her, do anything for her. Or honestly, I kind of think he will do anything for the people of Lumnos. He's made multiple comments that make me believe that he truly does care about the humans more than the typical descendant does. So I would not call him a golden retriever at all.
Okay.
He- I think he is absolutely a German shepherd. He will cuddle, I think he will like cuddle up in your lap and just kind of be there with you, but he would also die for you or kill anyone or do anything for you.
I've yet to see that, but
How do you not see it, Leslie?
he all I see is golden retriever energy.
No.
Okay, we'll just have to agree to disagree.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think, okay, so now that she's the queen or whatever, do you think she'll go back to that healer in Fortos and try to get the flame root that was behind the lock and key for Henry?
Mm, gosh, I didn't think about this. I don't know. I really want to say no.
I don't think so.
I want to say no. But she also tends to panic and do
Yeah.
things without thinking about like the long-term repercussions to keep people quiet or to make people happy in the moment.
Yeah.
And that would be her like one character flaw that I really can't stand. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say I really hope not, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think she will. I think it'll be like after I said, like something's gonna happen and Henry's gonna be so pissed off that
Mm-hmm.
she just wants to appease him and like make it better and stuff like that. And she's gonna be like, okay, cool, I'll go get this for you. And then we can be good again, right? So basically he's just gonna be
Yeah.
using her. But yeah, I kind of think she will. I think she'll go get it because
Ugh,
she can.
I kind of I hate to say you're right, but I kind of think you are in this
Yeah.
situation.
I'm good on questions. You got anything, Jess?
I do. Okay. Question number one.
Oh, buddy.
Do you think that orally would have been giving the smuggled children flame root as well.
Probably. That would make the most sense.
It would be.
Well, depends because like some of them, I know one of the kids went to like Umbrio, so that wouldn't matter because mortals can come and go there. But like if they were going to some of the other realms, then they couldn't be mortal either,
Right.
right?
Right.
I guess I'd have to go back and look, but I'm gonna say maybe.
Yeah. Which also, I agree. I kind of think that maybe she probably has been.
Yeah.
And then that's how she would have known even before Diem that this stuff will kind of hide it so they could get
Yeah.
away with their plan.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Now I'm like, okay, so where do we know where we get the flame root powder?
No, we don't know. I don't think we know where
Is it only
or how
made
it's
by the
made.
Kindred?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I feel like it's only made by the Kindred, and she keeps going back to the Kindred freaking island.
Maybe. Maybe. I just don't
More
remember
thoughts
if
that
it was
mom's
only the
Kindred.
Kindred that could make it. I feel like the only thing that the Kindred only make is the Godstone. But I could be wrong. It could also be the Flame Root. I don't remember. I just know that it's under lock and key and only royal blood can access it.
Mm, interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna keep
Okay.
thinking on that.
Okay. So, my next question is, who is the they that the king speaks of during their final encounter? And is it the same them from the epilogue in book 1 that we spoke of in episode 2, our last episode? And
Do
then I'll
you,
read you the quote really
yeah, about to say,
quick.
do you want to give me the two quotes real quick?
Yeah. So, the quote from the king during his and Diem's very last encounter before he dies, he says, "They told me you would come for me," he said. "They told me your blood would shatter our stone, lay waste to our borders, devourer of crowns, ravager of realms, herald of vengeance." So, they
Okay.
told me you would come. They told me your blood would shatter our stone.
Okay.
And then in the epilogue of book 1, Orally is saying, she says, "It's taken 20 years to get to this place. How long would it be again before they could come back?" That was a rough quote, but
Yeah. Um, yes, I 100% think it's the same they. It's got to be the Kindred, is what I'm assuming.
yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
What is the big secret about Diem? Lily and the servants both mention something, but we never find out exactly what it is. What do you think it is?
She's not just descended, she is a freaking kindred or half kindred or
Yes.
something of that nature. It's so,
Yeah, I agree. She's got to be more than descended. I don't know what she is, but she's more than descended.
I think she's kindred, and I'm still fairly positive at least Orly's kindred.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't know if I'm still on that track with you, but you tend to be right more than I am, so
That's
we'll go
not
with
true.
it.
I could be wrong. It could be the dad too, but I think at least Orly is just
She's more
she's
than what meets the eye for
yeah,
sure.
she's got a godstone dagger, which is the only
Mm-hmm.
thing known to kill the descended. Or was it the oh, and it's made by the kindred.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the flame root powder said it was made by the kindred, but I could be wrong. Um, Orly's able to have both and have access to both. She's been to the kindred
Yeah.
island before.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it makes sense, or at least she's the gateway drug. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. There's something there for sure. There's something more about her.
Yeah. And like, also, like, how would she know? Or like, yeah, how would she know that Diem is going to be the most powerful
Yeah.
one?
I know, I keep wondering that myself.
But it would make sense if you're kindred. You know what I'm
She's the
saying?
only one who knows who Diem's true father is. So
Yep.
that's got to play a huge piece in this puzzle.
Which would be how she would know that she's going to get the crown.
Yeah.
And she has to hide her. powers until that moment for whatever this freaking plan is she's cooking up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then like they said you would come and like what it you just had it, but the king was saying about how um the Herald of Vengeance and um she would I don't know, but all of that stuff like that makes the most sense. It's not going to be just some random descended person is going to do
Right.
this.
Right. It's got to be way more powerful.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Guess we're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out.
Hopefully.
We better.
I
We better. Book 4 still isn't out yet, so
know.
fingers crossed.
All right, then my very last question for you. What do you think that Orly did that caused Luther and the palace to stop trusting her so much?
I thought it was just that Luther didn't trust her.
I kind of got the idea that the palace, the people of the palace that knew of her also didn't trust her because he specifically says, like, don't talk about your mom. I think he even says at some point that there's
Oh
been a lot of trust
yeah.
lost
I'm kind
between
of
her
wondering
and them.
I'm kind of wondering if she got caught trying to poison the king.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Which I
kind of
kind of
what
wondered
I
if that theory had been debunked a little bit. We talked about that in our last episode, but
but maybe not.
these things that he keeps saying about the lost trust keeps making me think that that's gotta be the only thing that makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I think your theory is back on the playing board here.
Okay, cool. I'll take it.
We are no longer debunked. We are
No
back in the
longer
game.
debunked. Okay,
Cool.
I'm done with my
So,
questions.
thoughts and theories so far. How you feeling about it, Jess?
Okay, so my thoughts and theories. I actually have quite a few this time, so here we go. First of all, I am so ready to keep reading. I am loving this series and loving this book, and I cannot wait to keep going. So I'm going to start with this. The king tells her before he dies that she was prophesied to come and that she would shatter their stones and lay waste to their borders, the very borders that keep everyone so separated and can also temporarily take away the magic of any descendant that crosses over that's not from that realm.
Mhm.
She's also labeled during this encounter as the Devourer of Crowns, Ravager of Realms, and Herald of Vengeance. So
Yeah.
she's absolutely going to, I think she's absolutely going to be crowned the queen, but I do think that she will be challenged. They keep
Yeah.
seeming like they keep acting like it could happen, it could not happen. I think just for the sake of the book and drama, she's going to be challenged by someone. I don't know who yet,
Yeah.
but she's
And
going to
then she'll
win. She's going to be crowned.
yeah, and she'll have to actually use her magic.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think she's going to completely change the system somehow. I think she's going to unite the humans and descended and abolish the borders, keeping everyone away from each other, destroy the monarchy of each realm, and avenge those that were unable to stand up for themselves. She's definitely special. We've talked about that a lot. She's got to be more than just descended. And this is kind of what makes me think that too. So something about her is different from the other descended. We know she has magic of her home realm, which is Lumnos, which is the light and shadow magic. However, remember the strange feeling that she felt when she crossed into Fortos in book 1.
Yeah.
So at that time, I kind of suspected that it was just her magic temporarily leaving her since she crossed into a realm that was not her own. But then we find out that she still feels that voice inside her telling her to fight while she's in Fortos. So if she didn't have magic, I mean, we know that's like the godhood, that's the magic. If she didn't have her magic, then she wouldn't be able to hear that voice, right? But it was
Oh.
just as strong, if not stronger,
Oh, I didn't
than
think
when
of
she
that
was
one.
in Limnos.
Yeah. Okay.
So if she was in a different realm, shouldn't she have been unable to hear or feel anything? I mean,
Yeah. Or been weakened or whatever. Yeah.
something, yeah. But it seemed like that was, I think that was the first experience that we really have of her like really getting worked up, where she had to walk away from Henry because she was about to obliterate him, basically, if she didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then also, of course, there's the gray eyes that everyone seems to be making a big deal about. That combined with the fact that I think she can cross into other realms without losing power. leads me to believe that she has to be part kindred or something special. I don't know what, but she's got to be
Yes.
something special. She can go around without losing her magic, like the rest of them can't.
Yes.
So that's my big theory on that.
I- You're on board with me. I like it. I
Okay,
like it.
cool. All right, and then moving forward, I don't think anymore that Luther and DM can mind speak or like sense each other's thoughts.
Yeah.
It seems more that they can just sense each other's magic.
Mhm.
Kind of threw that in there a lot, that they can sense each other's magic. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately for me, there's no mind speaking. But I
Um,
do think that you are correct in thinking that she's part kindred somehow.
yeah.
Her magic is the same magic as those descended from Lumnos, but the way that Lily reacted to her gray eyes, and then the thing that we don't quite get to hear with the servants, I just, all of it leads to her being more than just descended.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then again, like I said, I think she's going to end up getting challenged. They make it seem like it's avoidable, but they're like, where would the fun be in that? For drama's sake, she's going to be challenged. I don't know who, but it's going to happen. And then after she's challenged, she's officially going to be coronated as the queen. And then I suspect there's going to be something that happens with her mom, with Orally, during the coronation, since it's on Kindred Island, which is where we suspect that Orally is at.
Yeah. That
I
makes
don't
sense. Okay.
know what's going to happen, but
Yeah.
um, I also think that maybe this is where they're going to be reunited. Maybe there's going to be some sort of big thing that happens. They actually
Yeah. I
like
like that.
meet up with each other there. And then for me, like learning that Orly and Luther were smuggling out children, that they're out there somewhere, half descended beings with magic, gets my gears turning a little bit. I truly do think that if Orly was giving them the flame root powder as well to suppress their magic, like she did for Diem, it makes sense that Luther was the one helping her get the flame root because he's the only royal descendant at the time to have access. That's the only way she could have been getting it. So
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
totally in on that. Um, I do believe that at some point DM's going to recruit as many as possible of those half human, half descended children with the help of Luther and Orally. But then because I'm pretty sure they have been taking the flame root powder, that's my theory. There's probably going to be some serious training that happens because they're going to have to learn how to use their powers and everything because they've been suppressed. And once they get there,
Hmm.
they truly will be a force to be reckoned with.
Okay. Yeah.
And then my final thoughts. Henry, things are going to blow up with him. I just know it. At some point, things are going to blow up. I cannot stand him. Reading anything in with him in it makes me cringe. I
Yeah.
hate that he knows what she is. I hate that he knows as much as he does from her now. And
Yeah.
he's totally just using her. He
Yeah.
may still have like a tiny bit of feelings for her, but that's overshadowed by his hatred of the Descended. And he's going to try to use her to get information and anything that he can. And then, of course, Luther. If you don't love him yet, you're crazy. I still believe they're mates. I love his character. End of story. I can't wait to read more. So, the
Cool.
end. That's the end of
The
everything I
end.
have. Your turn.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you took some of my words from me, but I think we have more evidence that supports my original DM is kindred theory.
Mhm.
Um, just from the eyes and everything else that's going on. Um, and then my other thought was, what if Harold Corbet, I think his name is made up, but the actual man in the picture is her actual father. What if he's the he that orally killed on the Kindred Island?
Mm.
And that's why he died a month before she was born. The last
Oh.
time Orly was at the island,
Oh.
because she comes home with a newborn, right? And
Oh,
she has to
yes,
keep
I
going
didn't
and
think of
checking that
that.
he's dead. Why would you have to keep going and checking if he was dead, if he was like a mortal or maybe even just descended? Like, what if she's worried he could rejuvenate, whatever, or something like that?
Mm.
But then, like, Remus says something about maybe it's best you don't know anything more about him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What if Remus knows as well and he is like some kind of kindred or something like that, right?
Mm.
Um, I do think that when the coronation happens, mom is planning to maybe sneak back on the boat or something like
Mm.
that.
Okay.
Or that's when Luther plans to come get her or whatever. I think Commander Daddy is working on something in the woods, maybe part of Orly's plans and not just sitting there pouting like Teller's kind of making it sound.
Mm.
Um, I think Henry is going to become the big bad enemy. I think he's going to, I think she's going to hope for the best with their relationship and not see that he's just using her. Um, I think something major is going to happen at this ball with the Guardians because, like, how Henry was like, well, we could blow up the whole ball because all the houses will be there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I do think like that's going to be the big, I guess, armory fire of this book. And then I also, like I was kind of talking about, like with the flame root powder and stuff like that earlier, how it's made, where it's made, the Godstone. Like, what if her mom is kindred as well, or maybe she's part kindred or something like that? Um, I kind of wonder if the kindred are able to speak with like the newly appointed kings and queens and stuff when they go for a coronation at the island,
Mm.
and maybe that's why it's there. And like
Mm.
that's how the king before he was dying was saying all those things like they told me. And maybe this plan or whatever that Orly has just kind of cooking up, and this plan is actually cooking up in my head as I speak. But what if it's like how they will get back is because DM will let them get back off the Kindred Island to like the other realms.
Oh,
And like, you know how, okay, so the light in the podium goes out, right? And it goes
right.
into the rock, but then
Uh-huh.
there's the 9 other podiums around or whatever.
Uh-huh.
What if those are like, I don't know if I want to say spirits, but like the kindred are in those lights, like
Uh-huh.
in the flames and the podiums, the 9 podiums or whatever around it, around the temple. And what if Orly knows how to get them back to the land, the continent or whatever, and that's why she has this plan, and Diem is the plan, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, it's kind of all, I don't know how to
Hmm.
form it into words just yet, but that's kind of like my big plan, like overview of the whole series, like kind of what's going on. And then like as soon as I seen, I think it's like chapter 1, how even DM describes her own eyes as smoky gray,
Uh-huh.
that kind of made me wonder, like she's got to have something to do with this smoky rock that we talked about, right?
Uh-huh.
Because the light is now in the smoky rock.
Huh.
And it keep and like okay, so I said like how like it burned mom, right? But you can
Right.
also be burned by heat and cold.
Yep.
And Diem keeps talking about how it's either so cold it burns or it burns with how cold it
Yeah.
is, like some of these things like that. Um, I think it has something to do with Diem, like Diem's the one, the person or whatever, and that I don't exactly know how to put this all into words, but I think
No, it
it's
makes
all
sense.
there.
It
I
makes
just
sense to
can't
me what you're
okay.
saying. I'm putting it together.
So that's where I'm kind of thinking
Okay.
big picture. Okay.
Yeah.
All of that being said, I am disappointed with this book so far.
Really?
Yes. And if we weren't doing it for the podcast, I would probably set it down and walk away and like totally
Really?
forget I was reading it 100%. We are 30% of the way through the second book, and I am so bored to death with like these court politics and the gossipy stuff and just like the little dramatic stuff that's going on. And the miscommunication, and Luther is nowhere near Danger Daddy, Shadow Daddy stuff. Like he is so golden retriever. Pick me. That's all I can think about. Like whenever
Oh,
it was really cute though, like if he is what you choose or whatever, I will find a way to make it happen or something like that.
uh-huh.
That was so like, pick me though. I'm cute and I'm a good guy. Da, 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 da. And I'm just ugh.
Oh my God. It's
I'm
so funny how we're so similar but so different in our tastes.
yes. I'm like, okay, all this other stuff that could be going on. We could be leading to that. We could be like action. And we are worried about who's sleeping with who and the gossip that's going on the court. And please spill the tea for me while I drink my wine and get drunk. And I don't like dresses, but I'm gonna wear one because it makes me feel pretty. Like, come on, let's move this along, please. Thank you.
I mean, we still have 30 more chapters, so it's gonna happen.
We are 30% of the way through the second book, Jess. Please give me
Oh
some action.
man.
I need some action. I need some fights. I need some magic. I'm bored. Okay.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts and theories.
Okay.
So moving on to our counters. For jaw tick counts, we had 18 in book one, but we already have 14 in just this chapter chunk alone.
Wow. I'll
Yeah.
be honest, I forgot to count jaw ticks and I forgot to count growling count when I was
Don't
reading.
worry. I counted them for you.
You got me on that one.
Yes.
So apparently, thanks to Leslie, our growling count is 12 from the last book and 5 in this chapter chunk. Do you remember if they're like what they're from?
Most of them were him. I think
Okay.
one of them was her.
Okay.
And this isn't counting like Surrey's growling or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then we have our cry counter. I am
Yep.
still at 0.
I'm at 0, but I'm about to cry at boredom.
Oh, Leslie.
Chill out.
Okay, so closing out, next up will be Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole, chapters 16 through 30.
So make sure you finish those chapters before coming back for the next episode in this series. But until then, fill your drinks with ice.
And your books with spice.
Bye.
Bye.